short video has been put together to help you understand the tax planning process. Tax planning at its most basic is all about implementing some tax planning strategies that once implemented will save you tax.
Darren, if I'm a client of Success Tax Professionals, what processes will my accountant go through with me? For example, what would be the first part of the process?
Well, the tax planning process is a 6-step tax planning process. Step 1 is where the accountant identifies, looks at your circumstances, identifies some potential tax savings, and then discusses it with you and gets your approval to proceed with preparing a tax plan.
Okay, what would they do next?
Then we move on to step 2, which is information gathering. This is all about collecting the information about your tax affairs and family and related group companies, trusts, super funds, etc. So the type of information that the accountant would gather would be your income and expenses, assets and liabilities, amount of money in super, client objectives, amount of financing you've got available to invest in tax strategies, all that type of stuff. So it's really getting the whole picture so that they've got the information that they can prepare a specific tax plan for you.
Okay, and what do they then do with that information that they've collected?
Well, then we move on to step 3, which is a tax planning strategy database. A good tax strategy database will have at least 200 tax strategies, and some of them will apply to you if you're an employee, some will apply to business owners, some investors, retirees. So different strategies will apply to different taxpayers under their circumstances. Step 4 is select tax planning strategies. This is where your expert tax planner will use their many years of experience and training to select the appropriate 5 to 10 tax planning strategies that are tailored for your unique circumstances, based on the information they gathered in step 2, information gathering. Step 5, the tax planning report. Okay. So we prepare a formal report which will show the 5 or 10 tax planning strategies we've selected. It'll show the average estimated tax deduction for each strategy that you will benefit from. It will go through the implementation process. What do we need to do to actually put this strategy into place? Like, for example, super, we need to ensure that if we're claiming a super contribution, it's actually paid before June 30th. Okay? If we're prepaying interest on a loan, for example, we need to ensure that the interest is actually physically prepaid before June 30th. So the implementation part of the tax planning report will detail what actions need to be done.
Okay, so as a client, if I actually get that information, that could be quite overwhelming for me. So what happens next?
Well, the key, or the most important step in a way, is step 6, the client discussion and implementation. So, of course, you get the report. As you said, there's a lot of information there. The average tax planning report may be 8 to 10 pages long. A lot of information to digest and absorb. So you have a read of the report, and then you come in and have normally a 1-hour tax planning interview with the accountant, and then you can go through and discuss all the different strategies and work out which of those strategies you'd actually like to implement this year. Some strategies you might implement now, some strategies you might implement in the future, and some strategies you might just never implement.
Okay, so at that point, choices can actually be made. What sort of savings are we talking about on average?
The bottom line is if you've got a taxpayer and they've got a fairly high income, or at least, you know, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, they're paying $10,000, $15,000 worth of tax. So almost without exception, most taxpayers, if they implement some strategies, can save some tax.
So really, tax planning is an actual service that should not be overlooked.
Well, it's applicable for almost every taxpayer except for those that don't pay any tax or are losing money. So every business client that's making a profit, tax planning is essential. But we know the evidence shows and that only 10% of accountants actually provide tax planning services to their clients. So as you can imagine, at least 90% of the clients are getting no tax planning advice. They're basically paying more tax than they need to, okay, which is a bit sad.
In summing up, any final comments?
Tax, especially for business clients, tax is normally their largest expense. So a bit of, they put so much effort into running the business and trying to cut costs, save a few dollars off stationery and rent, etc. Whereas it'd be better investing a few dollars with their tax planning expert, and they can save big dollars in tax.